Hi, everybody. Thanks for the invitation and the opportunity to be here with you at the IDA annual general meeting. My name is Fernando Ávila. I'll be talking about the dark skies law in Mexico or how to get your ordinance approved. I work at the National Astronomical Observatory, which is located in the San Pedro Martir Sierra in Baja California, Mexico. It's an elevation about 2,800 meters above sea level. We have excellent nights, really clear, transparent skies that actually they were considered for hosting the 30-meter telescope project before they went to Mauna Kea. But this is the results. We have great, perfect skies during the night. And we have been attracting a lot of international projects, not only the TMT, but we also are building telescopes and instruments with the US, with Spain, with France, with Switzerland, with Taiwan, for instance. Because, well, this is our night skies here in Baja California. And well, we have the technical measurements. As you can see, we've been consistent in the last 15 years. And it looks like we have a slight upward trend in night sky brightness. Seems to that we're having darker skies lately. We hope it's the result of all the work we've been doing here in Mexico, which is the things that I want to share. We already know this image is from the New World Atlas of Artificial Sky Brightness from Fabio Falchi, published a few years ago. And well, the southwest of the US and the northwest of Mexico share a lot of things, including the geography and the climate. And we have the so-called sky islands, places where observatories have been located. We have Mount Palomar in California, plenty of observatories in Arizona, where friends of IDA are located, observatories in Nuevo Mexico, in Sonora, and of course, our observatory in Baja California. Sadly, most of these places are already polluted by the close cities and urban developments that are near to them. Fortunately, here at the observatory, we still have a complete dark sky, but we've been surrounded by small communities and big cities at the north. And we think that we are at a critical point where we can stop the light pollution from these places, but that means that we have to work a lot with these areas, because after all, we have to work not only with the cities in the state of Baja California, we have to work with our neighborhood state in Sonora and across the international border with the United States. As you can see, we have a lot of work to do because there are a lot of light sources coming from these cities. So what have we done? 15 years ago, work started to promote an ordinance in Ensenada, the municipality where the observatory is located, and was approved in 2006. 4 years later, the light pollution was included in the state environmental law. That meant that 1 year later, another municipality, Mexicali, also approved an ordinance very similar to the one in Ensenada. By then, the observatory, the astronomers realized that this was a full-time job. That's why in 2012, the Dark Skies Law Office was created at the observatory, and we've been working since then. We also promoted light pollution into the state urban development law, and Tijuana, the biggest city here in Baja California, approved an ordinance in 2018. As you can see, we have light pollution in 2 state different laws. Why? Because we found out that the environmental law is only punitive. That means that it only takes action after the damage is done. And we realize that if we start working with the urban development, when the projects are in the design stage, we can have more influence in the way that once the projects are built, the light pollution will be close to zero. And well, the big news is that we're going national. This is a video from the Senate social networks, as you can see. The light pollution is included now on the federal environmental law. The new law, once it becomes official, it will include work with Energy Secretary and the Environment and Natural Resources Secretary. The last one is very active on social networks promoting light pollution and how it affects the wildlife, as you can see in this image that was on the Facebook page a few months ago. So what have we learned? Even if we have succeeded in getting all these laws and ordinance, it hasn't been easy. We will learn a lot of it. And this is what we want to share with you. First of all, You need to make friends with the media. You need the newspapers, TV, radio on your side. You need the social networks on your side. It will help you promote the message about how light pollution affects not only the observatories, but also the night sky, the wildlife, and even the energy consumption of the cities or the safety of the people. It will help you also expose how some projects are badly done because they're badly designed or the prices have overpriced, for example. Having the media on your side, giving you coverage about all these issues will be really helpful on raising awareness of the problematic. And the lesson we learn next is that complaining is easy, but you'll have better results if you also provide a solution. In this case, for example, Ensenada had a lot of issues with light. It was a dark city, not in a good way, because a lot of the light fixtures in the streets were not working. That meant the people were feeling unsafe. The perception of insecurity in the streets was high, not only because of the car traffic accidents, for example, but also about crime. We all know how perception can be really influential in these situations. The other problem was cost, because for the Mexican economy, the price per unit was too much. So even if we complain, and this was the problematic, you need to also provide a solution on how to fix this. We worked in a big project that took 2 years to implement to replace 70,000 luminaires. Most of them were working, 30% were not working. They were old Cobra style sodium luminaires, fixtures, and were replaced by 25,000 LED lamps full cut-off, as you can see on the right. But we didn't alone. We had help from the Engineering Institute at the State University. They helped us doing research at ground level, measuring the intensities, measuring what type of surface were being illuminated. They gave all this information to the city officials in order to better design a new public light system. So we provide a solution, and really helpful, really helped to make it come true. So this was the view from the observatory to the north. You can see the light domes of Ensenada, Tijuana, San Diego, which is a big dome. We have Mexicali and San Luis Rio Colorado. This is before Ensenada made the full replacement, and this is afterwards. Remember, before there were about 13,000 semi-cut-off lights, and were replaced with 25 LED lamps. The light dome, it was slightly reduced, even we have more street lights, 100% more street lights, and well, it changed color. Fortunately, it's too far away, so the blue peak was diminished by the scattering by the atmosphere, but still, it worked for us. The light pollution from Ensenada, even with increase in light fixtures, was reduced. And another that helped in order to promote this change in Ensenada is that this solution included benefits for everybody. We focus on a lot of things, actually. We focus mostly in energy savings for the city officials, even if with increase on the number of light fixtures on the streets, the number of the street lights, the energy savings were big. More than 50%, the energy consumption was reduced. The visibility was improved. That meant more safety for the people. And of course, we also focus on wildlife protection. Having focus on the endemic species, migrating species, for example, helps a lot to give this message because, well, astronomers, we must admit that yes, we're not as cute as a nice bird, for example. Such is life. And well, to make all this work, we can do it alone. I already mentioned the State University, the Engineering Institute, but you need more people working around you. The Ordinance in Ensenada, Mexicali, Tijuana have a technical advisor committee. Besides the people from the city officials, we have guest members from the Architects Board, Engineering Board, environmental groups, and the media. Especially the Architects Board and Engineering Board are really helpful because they know a lot about how the city is built, how the electrical infrastructure is, what conditions are Do we need more cables for the lights? Do we need more transformers in order to feed these lights? They have all this information that will help you a lot in providing the solution. You can't do it alone. Get help, get close to these groups. And a really great way to get in touch with the architects and the engineering is going to the schools. Approach the builders, approach the makers. We've been working closely with design and architecture schools, for example, where they've been doing designs about covers of fixtures for lights in houses from recycling materials. We've been working with civil engineering students, because after all, in a few years, they'll be the ones building the new houses, the new buildings, the new roads. If they have the knowledge right now, our job will be much, much easier afterwards. That's me, by the way, with a bunch of students from civil engineering. We've also been working and getting help from the science museums to promote the message about light pollution and its effects. For example, here in Mexicali, the Science Museum built this device. It's a dome that has stars painted on the inside. There's a strap of LEDs on this ring. The kids can play with a dial to change the intensity of the lights. And they will notice that when the lights are too bright, the stars on the inside of the dome will disappear. It's an easy, fun way to show that the more brighter the lights are, the less stars they will see, and they help you understand why in their city they can't see the stars anymore. So you need to work with all these people. And you also have to learn how to negotiate. Sometimes things don't work the way you want because sometimes things are out of your control. Budget, for example, time can be against you. So you have to take decisions. You have to learn how to negotiate and plan for the future. For example, what happened in Ensenada. This is before the replacement. You can see the lights on the streets. You can see the point sources of light. And you can see all the light scattering upwards the atmosphere because you can see that the roofs or the buildings are slightly illuminated. So yes, there was a lot of light pollution coming out from the city. Afterwards, this was the result. Now the roofs are dark because there's less light going upwards. The street light levels are more uniform, so visibility was improved. But now we can see the ugly side, and well, things didn't work as we wanted because, again, there were budget and time constraints. One thing that had against us is that because the ordinance of 2006 didn't take into account the new LED technology. 2006, most of the lights was sodium light fixtures, so there was no mention about the CCT of the lights. So when the project was rolling, we negotiated that yes, cool lights will be installed, but we'll upgrade the new ordinance, we'll update the new ordinance to include warmer lights from now on. Once the installed lights are failing, will be replaced with warmer lights because usually LED lights have a useful life from 5 to 8 years. That meant that for the city administration wasn't that problem. It will be the next administration problem or maybe 2 administrations in the future. So for them, there was no problem updating the new ordinance, and the city was happy because now they had lights and we had now the legal instruments to work with the future administrations in replacement of the cool, bright LED lights. And what we learned is that, yes, perfect is the enemy of getting things done. If we really focus on getting warm lights, we wouldn't be listened and we wouldn't get the updated ordinance. So you need to negotiate and you need to accept that sometimes you have to give some things in order to gain others. Another example is the technical aspect. When we updated the ordinance, we also updated the section about electronic billboard messages that we saw on the last picture that now stand out against the already now dark street lights. And the new ordinance that included electronic messaging boards, we went too far. We had a really great specification about intensity levels, about how to take the measurements from which distance, which instruments. But we learned that, yes, perfect is the enemy of getting things done, because even if the letter of the law was really, really good, there were problems getting it implemented. For example, who's going to take the measurements? Does the city have the appropriate measurement requirement, or they will have to buy it? If they buy it, will be calibrated often, because if it's not going to work. Because if the instrument is not properly calibrated, if the measurements are not properly calibrated, the offender will get these measurements taken out in court. So sometimes it's better to work with something simple, like, for example, a working schedule. Turn off electronic messaging boards at 9 p.m. or 1 hour after sunset. Yes, it's not a technical perfect solution, but it's much easier to work with and it's much easier to enforce. So yes, by now you have a team working with you from several disciplines, from several areas. You have the coverage from the media help you to expose the problems. You have an ordinance that is properly done, is not too extensive and difficult to enforce, and it's already approved. You're almost there. You got finally your ordinance approved. But now the fun part begins. And that's it, having to enforce it. Because now you will see that you will need a lot of support, you will need a lot of calls, you will need a lot of people working with you. And you need to keep these people motivated, you need to keep raising awareness, because this is a long game. You have to be patient, you have to be stubborn sometimes, but the results will be wonderful. Clear, dark skies for everybody. Thank you so much. I hope you like it. And we'll see if I can answer some of your questions. Thank you very much.